Today we're talking about why it's common to gain weight around our middle as we age and what we can do about it. Hi, I'm Jessica Valant. I'm a physical therapist and women's health specialist, and I help you feel strong and safe in your body in all seasons of life. You can find many of my short videos right here on YouTube, and for my long workouts, my workout plans, my app, my podcast, and more, you can follow the links below. I get asked all the time by women why it is that they feel like they are gaining weight around their middle as they age. The first thing I want you to know is that we don't talk about weight gain a lot here. We don't talk about measurements. We don't do before and after pictures. Your weight isn't the number one indicator of your health. And I really want you to feel empowered in your strength and your movement and your function, your emotional vibrancy, so many other things that do have more important aspects of your health. That being said, I also want to validate the fact that you might not feel comfortable in your body as it starts to change. You might notice that you're gaining weight around the middle and you don't know why, and you haven't changed anything about your diet or your movement. I am here absolutely to honor that, and I want to approach it from a physiological and scientific standpoint so you understand why that is happening, because there are true reasons and valid reasons why that happens as we age. So as you start to understand why it happens, we can also give you some tips to help address it as well. But please remember as we go into this that you and your strength are so much more than your weight. So make sure that you remember and frame that as we go forward. So it is a scientific truth that we can gain weight around our middle as we age, and that it can happen without us changing anything about our diet and anything about our movement. And I know that can feel really frustrating when you feel like you've had a plan that's worked for you for years, and then suddenly you hit middle age around age 40 and that starts to change. You're eating the same thing, you're working out the same, nothing's changed, but you start to gain weight around your middle. So let's talk about why that happens. The number one reason that happens is a decrease of estrogen. So estrogen does many protective things in our body, and it has a really big effect on our metabolic health. So our metabolic health is a system of things in our bodies, but it really has to do with our metabolic, like our resting rate, how many calories we burn at rest. It has to do with our heart health, our cholesterol, our blood pressure, and many systems like that. So estrogen is protective of those things. So as we start to age and our estrogen decreases, our metabolic health can suffer. And so that can lead to things like a decrease in your metabolic resting rate, so a decrease in the amount of calories that you burn at rest. And then it can also lead to something called insulin resistance. So as we have decreased estrogen in our bodies, our body is not as efficient as dealing with the glucose in our bodies. So basically what we eat, right? When we eat something in general, if it has glucose, what happens is it comes and turns into glucose in our bodies, things like carbohydrates, vegetables, fruits, most of the things we eat. It will turn into glucose in your body, and your body then releases insulin to take that glucose and distribute it throughout your body. Well, as we lose estrogen, we become much less efficient in that system. It takes more and more insulin to deal with that glucose. So that can lead to insulin resistance. But not only that, that fat that's distributed through our bodies that typically goes to our legs and our thighs as women, it starts to go to our bellies as we age. So that decreased estrogen actually has an effect on where that fat is distributed, and it starts to be distributed in our bellies more. I don't know about you, but at least finding that out helped me so much to feel like it just wasn't all the bad decisions I was making. I felt like I was doing something wrong and that I was to blame. I must just be lazy, or I must need to cut more calories. I must need to work out harder. We're going to talk about tips on how to help this, because yes, there are absolutely things you can do. But I do want you to see that a part of this is the aging process as we lose estrogen. So remember, you are not doing anything wrong. It is part of our body's natural process. And again, there are things that we can do, but I want you to feel empowered in the fact that we are all there. We're all going through this together. And then now let's address some of the things we can do for it. So the number one tip I'm going to give you has nothing to do with how many calories you burn or what you eat. It has to do with your nervous system. So again, as we age and as we lose estrogen, we actually lose one of the best parts about our nervous system regulation. So estrogen helps us stay calm when our stress levels rise. Estrogen helps with our cortisol. So as it goes down, we actually can have increased cortisol and we have a lessening of our ability to deal with the stress in our lives. So we can feel more stressed, more anxious. And that is actually happening systemically throughout your body, meaning that it can lead to some of these causes and things we've talked about. So the number one thing I want you to work on is nourishing your nervous system. Don't turn me off. Don't ignore what I'm saying, because I promise it is so important. You cannot out-exercise or out-diet a poorly regulated nervous system. I promise you, I know that from personal experience. And again, it's just a scientific fact. If you are already feeling kind of that stress about your body changing, about the things in your life, if you're feeling burnout, and then you have that decreased estrogen and you just say to yourself, I just need to work out harder, I just need to eat less, I don't have enough willpower. If you kind of go into that punishment mode, it will make things worse. Your body will not allow you to drop that weight in that situation. This is a multifaceted approach. You need many different things, but the number one thing is to address that nervous system. I want you to think about ways that you can nourish your own nervous system, whatever that means to you. It might just mean 5 minutes of breathing or self-massage during the day when you start to get stressed. It might mean that you need to look at your sleep habits. Can you focus a little more on your sleep hygiene and getting more sleep? Do you need to go for a walk in the sun? Do you need to maybe take out some stressful situations in your life if that is possible for you? I know it's not always possible, but it's really, really important for you to look at that, to start to address the stress in your life, your sleep, your breathing, all of those things that nourish your nervous system. I want you to look at that and see what 1 or 2 things are that you can do today to help. I will have some links below as well to some other resources I have for stress relief. But just please know and hear me when I say it is a huge, huge factor in this point in our life from 40 and beyond. It is a huge factor in how we regulate our weight. All right, number 2 is we are going to talk about exercise and how it can help. And there's 2 things I really want you to focus on right now in this stage of life to help with this. It is weight training and weightlifting, and then something we call NEAT movement, which I'll tell you about. But first is strengthening and weight training. You hear me talk about it all the time. So important for our bones, so important for our muscles. But this is what I want you to hear. Your muscles burn more calories at rest than any other thing in your body. Meaning, when you do a cardio workout, you might burn some calories during that workout, but that's it. When you're done, you're done. When you build muscle strength, when you work on your muscles and you lift weights, you're burning calories during that time, but you're also then burning more calories at rest, meaning that metabolic rate that we talked about, that resting metabolic rate, it goes up. You're burning more calories throughout the day when you build muscle. It is super important, not only for your health, but also actually to help with that weight around the middle. If you can increase your weight training just throughout your body, arms, legs, all of it. So that's the number 1 piece of exercise, 3 times a week, lifting heavy weights. Number 2 is what we call NEAT, okay? It's non-exercise activity thermogenesis. What that means is I want you to look at how much you're just moving throughout the day. Are you going for long walks? Are you walking around your house doing house cleaning, folding laundry? Are you parking far away from a store so you can walk through the parking lot? Are you taking the stairs instead of taking the elevator? Are you getting up from your desk regularly? Are you walking up and down bleachers, doing gardening? you understand what I'm saying. This neat movement is anything that you do to move your body that's outside of exercise. And it is hugely important to keep that metabolic health going as you age. I can tell you personally, about 4 or 5 years ago when I realized I was in perimenopause and I was noticing some weight gain that I didn't know what to do about it, as I was learning even about my own health, I made a commitment to keep lifting weights, doing what I was doing, but I was gonna walk more during the day. I was gonna up my steps. I truly believe to this day, it has made a huge effect on my mental and physical health and with that weight. So keep moving your body. Those are the things I want you to focus on with exercise. You don't need to do all the crazy hard cardio, okay? You need to lift weights and you need to move your body more throughout the day. And then of course, if you want to do cardio, if you want to do all that stuff, do it, have fun, but make sure that you are including those 2 types of movement I talked about. And yes, let's talk about food, because we can always do things to help our diet. I just want you to know that you can't completely restrict calories here and see a difference. It's not about restriction. It is about choosing foods, again, that are gonna nourish your body. So especially as we age, we need those leafy greens. We need bright colors and vibrant food. You need protein. And yes, it is true, because you need to feed those muscles, because what did I tell you? Your muscles are gonna burn more calories throughout the day. So you need your protein. 0.5 gram of protein per body weight minimum per day, okay? 0.5 gram of protein per your pound of body weight per day is the minimum amount of protein that you should be getting. So make sure you're eating your protein to feed your muscles. Make sure that you're making mindful choices. So this kind of goes back to that nervous system as well. But make mindful choices about when you're eating, the foods you choose, sitting down to eat your food, chewing your food. All of that really does make a difference. And then I will say, look at your alcohol intake as well. Those are not only empty calories, but alcohol has shown more and more and more that it can have detrimental health effects. So it's just something to look at as you're looking at the whole picture right now in your life. And then the final piece I will mention, because we've talked so much about estrogen here, is if you feel like you're really at a point that you're kind of stuck and you've put all these other practices into play and it's not moving the needle, think about seeing a specialist, a functional medicine doctor, your own doctor, and talk about your hormones, maybe have your hormone levels checked, and discuss HRT. Again, this is very personal and it's different for everyone. It's not applicable for everyone depending on your health history, but it is just one more spoke on that wheel of your overall health that can, again, help move the needle. It's not the only thing. All of these things need to be done together to really help boost up your health in this time of life. But HRT and looking at your hormone levels are worth it if you have a trusted medical professional that you can talk to. I hope that helps demystify some of the reasons why we do gain weight around our middle as we age. As always, I believe knowledge is power, and I think that knowledge really needs to be given with a high dose of compassion and actionable tips that you can take in your own life. I want you to know that we're playing the long game here. This isn't a 10 days to 10-pound weight loss program. This is how you can nourish and support your body so that you can have a strong, vibrant, exciting second half of life. That's what I want for you. And this can definitely be a piece of that so that you feel really good in your body and in your own skin. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you soon. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. Take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel so you never miss new releases. And here are a few recommendations for what to try next. See you soon.